So now, I haven't got too much time left, but there's one thing I want to make sure I mention, which is Cambridge Analytica. I mentioned this in my abstract. So far I've spoken about the possibility of fairness and impartiality in algorithms. What happens if you flip this? What happens if you're actually trying to use algorithms to do stuff and to manipulate society? The actual people doing that work. And so over the summer, a few of us were looking into these case studies, and we saw that Cambridge Analytica, who I mentioned them last week as well, they had a team of 100 data scientists. That was most of the company actually. 100 data scientists. These were mathematicians, computer scientists, physicists, engineers. That's not many people. It was a huge proportion of the company, but it's not many people actually. 100 people is not that much. What they were doing was they were taking large data sets that they obtained in some way, and they were using these to administer targeted political adverts. Highly targeted political adverts. Now, what I mean by that is not, let's send everyone who doesn't vote Trump a Trump ad. Because that's kind of stupid. It's not really going to get you very far. So what might you do instead? Well, you use your machine learned algorithms on these data sets that you acquired in some mystical, magical way, and you say, okay, let's identify the people who don't vote Trump, and let's send them an ad. Which ad should we send them? Well, we can kind of tell which ones are maybe 50-50 on voting on the day. So here's a Hillary supporter, and this person maybe will vote, maybe won't. There's no point saying a vote Trump ad, because they're going to vote Trump. So you send an ad, what do you say? You say, hey, good work everyone, Hillary's really guaranteed to win in your state. Total shoo-in to win. Go team. So the person who's in two minds about voting says, oh great, Hillary's in. So when the first Tuesday of November comes along and it's time to vote in your selection, the person goes, no, stay away from a sandwich. One less vote for Hillary. Or you identify a Trump voter who might be 50-50 about voting. There's no point saying vote Trump ad because they're going to vote for Trump if they go and vote. But you need to get them to go and vote. So you send them an ad saying, hey everyone, voting is really important. You should all go and vote. But who do you send it to? Person who might go to vote Trump. One will vote for Trump. So you're able to use this analysis to target your ads in a really clever way. And one of the main problems is that how does the person receiving these ads know where they're coming from? If you receive an ad saying, hey everyone, Hillary's doing really well in your state, she's guaranteed to win, who do you assume that ad's coming from? Most likely the Democrats, or someone who's a Hillary supporter. If you receive an ad saying, hey everyone, go and vote, voting is important, who do you assume that ad's coming from? Maybe some sort of whatever these, whether it's the actual government agency administering the voting, or whether it's some agencies, democracy is important, let's preserve democracy, everyone go vote. You're not assuming it's coming from the opposing political party, or even your political party, if it's not saying who to vote for. Someone says vote Trump, okay, this is the Trump supporter. I vote Hillary supporter. Someone says vote. I don't know. Who are they supporting? They know more about me than I realize. So we can use algorithms to manipulate people in ways they can't see. This is a really important point. We know what we're doing, but our target user has no idea what's going on around them. So, but ultimately, this is just math, right? I mean, we do some math, analyze some data, decide where to send the resources, where to send the ads. These ads cost $7 for 1,000 ads or something, right? So you decide where to put the resources. Just doing math. It is just doing math. These people were not political scientists. These were computer scientists, mathematicians, physicists. So, in a sense, well, they're providing some sort of, neutral mathematical service. Well, maybe. But Cambridge Analytica was being heavily supported and actually totally bankrolled by Robert Mercer, a very strong Republican, actually a very particular part of the Republican movement. His daughter, Rebecca Mercer, was on the Trump transition team. So you've got a room full of mathematicians doing some math, writing some algorithms, just deciding where to send some ads, right? And actually, these ads didn't even need to be consistent. You could send two people differing ads via Facebook, and they'd never be able to compare them, unless they did a screenshot. Like people do. So I can tell someone X and tell someone else not X, and there's no way those two people know that I've said two mutually exclusive statements. We know we can do that. The users don't. Or to say, oh, the one that reached me was the really important one, so you can dismiss the other one. Yeah, well, I think, it doesn't say the one in the ad where it comes from. Yeah. It's unclear how effective that will be, but yeah, they should have seen this a lot earlier. Ethics is hard. The challenge is what to do when you get stuck in a corner with something like this. You didn't see it coming. They should have seen it coming. So we are being used as mathematicians to exploit unassuming citizenry. We're being used to gain political power. We're being used to curry favour. And I wonder whether the people working in that basement at Cambridge Analytica realised this. I wonder how much awareness they had of what they're actually doing. Something you might not be aware of is alternate credit scoring. Really clever algorithmic stuff. So standard credit scoring looks at, how often you pay your debts, whether you pay your credit card on time, loans you've got, how many applications of credit you've made, your salary, stuff like this. That's standard credit scoring. Then you've got sort of non-standard credit scoring, which is things like how often you pay your utility bills, sort of slightly related, but not totally related credit. So still financial-ish stuff, how much money you've got in the bank, but not totally related, not standard credit scoring. Then you've got, for lack of a description, wacky-tobacco credit scoring, which is, we'll take any data we can and do credit scoring on it. So there's actually a company called Zest Finance, and the founder of it says all data is credit data. All data is credit data. And I'll explain what they mean by all data in a second. Another thing they say on the website is, this is a great little quote, the team has grown to more than 100 crazy smart data geeks, mathematicians and computer scientists, all working together to make fair and transparent credit available to everyone. Every single word that I've said in this seminar today needs to get on their website. So do these people have any training in finance? No. Do they have any training in banking? No. Do they have any training in social sciences? No. By their own admission, they are a team of crazy smart data geeks, mathematicians and computer scientists. Look how narrow-minded and limited we are. Yay! And look, we're going to give you a credit score. What qualifies them? And what's going to happen? So what are these companies doing? So a similar company called Lendo, which we have more information about, they say, oh, well, we'll give you a credit score, and it's nothing to do with financial stuff. So just give us your Facebook login, and we'll take it from here. Not log in via Facebook. Give us your Facebook login. Give us your username, give us your password, we'll take it from here. So they'll go through and they will scrape everything on your Facebook page. Everything. Including your friends. And that's actually important. So they will use this to determine what sort of person you are. What sort of bars and clubs do you check into? How many times do you go to the supermarket in a week? Where do you fill up your petrol? What browser do you use? What operating system do you use on your computer? How many photos do you put up a week? Where are these photos? Who else is tagging them? Do they have information about your friends? Do you have bad friends? Do they know that you have friends who haven't paid their debts? All this information. And this is done in an automated way, initially to give loans to people who aren't asking for much money. So say you're asking for a loan of 50 bucks. There's no point going to a bank. No bank is going to approve a loan of 50 bucks. It costs them more to approve the loan than they'll ever get back from the loan repayments. So this is a nice, automated, centralized way to give people credit scores to then lend money against. Except that it's totally bogus. They'll even record your mouse movements on the website and how long you hover your mouse over each page, how long you spend reading each page before you click the next one. All data is credit data. Everything they can get of you, they will, all of it. They take your list of friends because if you don't pay your debt, your friends start getting messages saying, hey, Frank hasn't paid his money back yet. You're one of Frank's friends. This will look bad. So if you try and go and apply for money and Frank hasn't paid his debt, your credit score is lowered. But also, you're getting harangued because Frank hasn't paid his debt. All of a sudden, Frank gets 400 messages from his friends saying, dude, what the hell? Pay your freaking debt. Frank pays his debt. Social exploitation. Give someone your Facebook number. People who are desperate will result in desperate measures. People own a Facebook account, in some sense, and they can be monetized. So you might think, well, it's your choice to decide whether you want to monetize your account or not. Yeah, sure. But when the poor possess something that can be monetized, then they're almost forced to realize that monetization. If you've got something that's valuable, and you're poor, then that becomes something you can sell. This is why we ban organ sales. No, really, this is why we ban organ sales. Yeah, you're selling out your friends. And let's flip that. A team of 100 crazy smart data geeks, mathematicians, and computer scientists are monetizing your friends, your friends, your friends. That's what we're doing with algorithms. That's not many people, 100 people. And they can do this at a scale unseen before. So a point I want to get to for the end is that if you're doing AI, and that's what they do here, they do this learning on large data sets. If you're doing AI, the person designing the AI, so these crazy smart data geeks, mathematics, and computer scientists, they have to design the incentives and choose the input data. Both of these are a human construct. You might think that the data is telling you what to do. The data is giving you everything. Here's some data. Let's see what it says. I'm not saying much. You have to interpret something from data. You have to design the AI, the machine learning incentives. You have to decide which data to put into the machine learning. That's your choice. And which incentives you build and which data you put in determines what it does. Some developers decided to make a really clever hand recognition camera for hand dryers. You walk past a hand dryer in the toilet, those automatic ones, and it goes even though your hands are on the hand. Every time someone walks past a hand dryer, because the sensor is crappy. So someone decided, oh, let's make a really clever sensor that recognizes hands. Not feet, not shoes, not bottles of water, hands. Great. Design the incentives for the algorithm, feed in large data sets, boom, works perfectly. Deploy it, what happens? Black people have to take a piece of white toilet paper, put it on their hand, and put it under the fucking sensor to get it to work. Why? Because the data set was a bunch of white hands. Well done. Well done, team. When you have a development team that is not very diverse, as the point made before, then they're going to develop incentives and feed in data sets they think are right. They're not trying to be malicious. That's not the anti-black hand dryer. But they fucked up. Pretty bad. They didn't realize, oh, there's stuff that we don't quite see. I had a discussion with someone a few weeks ago. We're talking about Tinder and the algorithm that runs at the back of Tinder. Because Tinder doesn't give you random matches. Okay? You pick a radius, I think you pick a gender, and then Tinder does the rest. And so you're doing something. It's deciding who to match you with. And it has a little profile of you sitting inside its little Tinder brain. And from that it decides who to match you with and how often. Somebody who'd been using Tinder for 5 years asked for a download of all their Tinder data. Guess how long the file was? Tinder. So the amount of information Tinder holds on you. Right? You only put up 5 photos to Tinder, is that right? Thereabouts? 5 or 6? You don't put up anywhere near as much as you would for something on Facebook. This person got their data feedback, 800 pages of data Tinder holds on you. 800 pages. That's a lot of swipes. So, I mean, it's counting the swipes and seeing who you swipe left and right on. For starters. How quickly it looks at your picture, it gives you a score, it actually ranks you, and it pairs you with people that are sort of similar rank, or whatever that means. It's not random, it's not a random logic generator. You don't get random hits in a radius. Nowhere near it. It learns, it knows. So, this is Tinder, deciding who you get paired with, and whatever other glories of the impartial pairing algorithm that it's set up, in its own interest, of course. Whether it realizes it or not, Tinder has the capacity to implement the largest eugenics program the world has ever seen. If you think about it, it's exactly what they can do. Less than 1,000 people operating out of 2 offices in California, Palo Alto, and Los Angeles, are controlling the way that a large chunk of the human race reproduces. This reshapes the human genome. And maybe they're doing it with the best intentions. But if you can fuck up a hand dryer, tell me that you're going to get Tinder right. Tell me that you're going to get Tinder right. Dry hands. No, shit. That's okay, we got the whole breeding thing down pat, now we got that sorted. It's alright, don't worry. The person I was talking to was arguing with me and saying, oh, Tinder must have a very diverse mix of people working for it. Okay. I said, well, I think that statement is crap. And so we went on the Tinder website, the jobs site, Tinder. And I'm sure they're tracking my IP address and mouse click and whatever. And I looked for where the jobs are. Every single technical job advertised by Tinder is being advertised in Palo Alto and Los Angeles. The only jobs I could find advertised outside California were the ones for marketing. One in Germany, one in Brazil. I guess the interface looks a bit different in Germany as well. I don't know. But all the development jobs, all of them, Palo Alto, Los Angeles. And so you get a very, very narrow view of how the world works. Should Tinder allow cousins to match? Serious question. Maybe you think, no. Maybe no, it's a terrible idea. There are certain cultures in the world where it's very common for cousins to marry. Extremely common. It helps with family cohesion. And they've been doing it long enough that all the genetic defects have kind of gotten rid of themselves. So maybe an innocent group of programmers, crazy smart, geeky mathematicians, computer scientists, whatever, in Palo Alto or Los Angeles think, well, we should put a little line of code that says no, you shouldn't allow cousins to match up. And then you go and completely disrupt ways that people interact in cultures you have no idea about. You think you're doing something right. Give you an example of a criterion which you might think is perfectly reasonable, but in some places is not. I'm sure if I thought more about this, I could think about more that are more applicable. My point is that what you think is reasonable and totally acceptable to society changes depending on where you are and where you are as well. Ethics changes depending on where you are and when you are. Same idea.